record button here. For anybody that has was not on last week's call or wants to, or the first one of these calls, and wants to go back, you should have access to the email that I just sent out to everybody to get into the Google Drive, which I'm going to be storing these. We're going to try and find a better place to keep these so they're a little bit easier accessible, but for right now, that's where we're keeping them until I've got a big library, and then we're probably going to move them over to some platform. Again, at the end of this thing, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to hopefully talk for about 10 minutes. In reality, that means about 15. And we're going to open it up to Q&A for anything that is going on. Everybody good? Right on.
Just an overarching question real quick, Anders, is with equipment availability, et cetera, in the gym, and I know the EMON Aesthetics is put together from a time perspective, right, to get you in and out. But in my experience, some of the equipment is not readily available, shall we say, in the aspect that I can't, because what I've figured out at 24 Hour Fitness is that people poach your shit if you leave it. So what I did, like just the other day, like the incline bench and then the split squats and the shoulder raises, I just knocked out the incline bench and just timed myself 2 minutes between sets, right? Like it would be on the EMOM, and then went and did the other two because I could do those on the same bench, right? Cool. Is that something copacetic to do?
Yeah, we'll go. I can totally answer that at the end because it'll flow well into everything. It might extend the time period out a little bit, but yeah, we can totally get into that. The kind of like the framework that I want to present why EMOM aesthetics exists and the way that it's structured so that you can get the biggest bang for your buck. When we are thinking about the idea of building muscle, burning fat, and creating like a well-rounded strength training program, what we're trying to do is get enough conditioning into your training without you having to go to a CrossFit gym and do a 12-minute Metcon every single day where you're just laid out on the ground. We don't need to go to the nth degree in conditioning. We also want to be building muscle without you being on like a full-time Olympic lifting or bodybuilding program that's going to take you 90 minutes with 3 to 4 minutes of rest in between each set. With all of the things involved in our lives, we just don't have that much time to be able to go and do these extremely long and comprehensive programs. So what we are looking for is a way to build muscle, burn fat, get enough conditioning, get enough muscle building. And the way that the muscle building side of things, I think that people can probably understand that the conditioning, we're just trying to really get your heart rate raised to a level that we're still able to move really well. We're still able to complete the amount of work that needs to get done without having you redlining and totally gassed at the end of every single minute in the workout. So you're going to be working somewhere in the 30 to 40 second range. You're going to be moving enough weight so that our heart rate is up. But the goal really is to be able to move well, build volume, and focus on the strength side of things, which is really kind of the sweet spot of what our focus here. The reason we want to talk most about building muscle is that conditioning, like we talked a little bit about it in the first one of, if you were to go out and run 4 miles, awesome. Like that's when you're going to be burning the most calories. But because muscle is so important to your body, one, structurally, just being able to support our body, but also on the amount of time that we're going to be in the gym. We want to be burning calories while we're in the gym, getting strong. That's going to be kind of the breakdown, right? When we're in the gym, we need to burn calories while we're rebuilding that muscle. And then we're going to be burning calories because it just takes a lot of energy throughout the day to be able to maintain the muscle that we already have. So it gets into, we have enough conditioning. That's the easy part. Our heart rate's up, we're breathing heavy. The harder part is actually building muscle in our training. And the way that science, these smart people that hang out in labs and test these things, have really broken the muscle building process down into 3 main categories, right? The number one is mechanical tension. Number 2 is metabolic stress. Number 3 is the breakdown and rebuilding of muscle tissue. So what do those actually mean in layman terms? We're looking at mechanical tension and this framework of that's just us getting strong, right? That's the idea of progressive overload, in which we're going from, call it 2 reps to 6. We're trying to lift as much weight as we can inside those rep ranges. And then when we take it to the next level, the metabolic stress side of things, that is where we're looking at reps somewhere between 6, maybe 8 to 15, 17, 20, the longer rep ranges. The third piece of the breakdown of the actual muscle tissue and rebuilding that is really the slow process of the micro tears that happen in your muscles. A lot of times that's why you're sore, is the body's actual breakdown of muscle tissue. And as you are healing that muscle tissue, your body is going to continually slowly build actual muscle tissue. What we really want to be focusing on, Ro, is strength. And that strength can be from 2 and 3 reps to 6 reps to 15 reps to 20 reps. We always want to be thinking about getting stronger in those rep ranges, which is why we focus so much on the actual loading of the weight and how we structure those workouts, right? I mentioned that the EMOM aesthetics work in our first call. I mentioned the way that I view these workouts, and there are many, and I'll talk to kind of Mark's question here in a second. The way that I view the most optimal way to go through EMOM aesthetics workouts is to pick a multi-joint, like a more functional multi-joint exercise. It could be the squats, it could be a strict press, it could be a bench press. Pull-ups are a solid one to get in there, but picking some sort of full body multi-joint movement and using that as the getting strong piece. So you're going to be choosing that inside, call it 2 to 6 reps in the working minute. Now, if you're going to be doing a set of 6 and you're somewhere around like 70% of your max 1RM front squat, that's going to run you roughly to about 30 seconds when you have a 2-second pause at the top of each rep plus 2 seconds to complete the movement. It's going to take you from walking that weight out, getting that weight back in. You're going to be looking somewhere around like a 30-second set inside there with a 30-second rest. So that 1-to-1 rest is going to be a really good interval for you to take in working really hard, getting really strong for 2 to 6 reps, resting a little bit, and then moving on to whatever the next thing is, into the next exercise. From there, if it's, say, in your standard 20-minute EMOM aesthetics workout, you're going to have 4 exercises. From there, there's going to be 2 exercises that look like assistance exercises that you likely can load heavier. So that's going to be some sort of like unilateral movement. It might be some sort like a lateral lunge. Like if we're just looking at some sort of lower body day, there's going to be a squat. There'll be some sort of unilateral leg thing, and then maybe like a shrimp squats or lateral lunges. You'll be able to see the exercises that are higher on the ability to like move heavier weights. Like a squat is going to be the biggest one, some sort of split squat or unilateral squat, maybe an RDL attached to it. Things that are not the focus movement of the day, but they're going to be movements that are going to require a barbell or heavier dumbbells for you to actually get a really good stimulus out of them. When you get into those, my suggestion is to pick a rep range somewhere between 8 and 20 reps. Really 8 to 15 is kind of like more the sweet spot in which I choose. That way we have our big bilateral squat movement. That's going to be 2 to 6 reps. That's where we're going to be getting really strong and being able to knock out, for lack of, shouldn't say for lack of better terms, for terms that you may be more familiar with, it's kind of like a 5x5, where instead of resting in that 5x5, the weights are going to be a little bit slower, but you're just going and hitting a superset with the movement right after that. A 5x5 is like a really good way to think about doing that big movement. In the secondary movements, you're going to be picking rep ranges in the like 8 to 15. So those are going to be more of the metabolic stress component. And when we think about those, I still want you to be moving heavy weights through those rep ranges, but you're obviously not going to be able to take a 5x5 weight and get the same stimulus for 15 reps. You can't get there. You can't do triple the amount of work. So what we want to do is, say if it's 70% that we're doing our 5x5 or our 75% of our 1RM, then we can back that number down to say 60% and hit it for a set of 15. Or we can back it down to 60% and hit it for a set of 8. And then we have a second exercise that feels like a 50% of what our max load could be. And we're doing that one for 15. So we're hitting 5 to get strong, 8s and 15s to have that metabolic stress component where we're just getting a really good pump. We're still moving good weights. We're building a lot of volume. And then whatever that final component is, usually there's going to be some sort of exercise that looks like it's like a structural exercise. ITYs, Ws, I'm glad I got that right this week. I got them all in order too, I believe. If you see shrimp squats in there, those are going to be very challenging. It's much more of like an athletic mobility type focus. If there's pistol squats in there, things that we need to scale, you're going to find like lateral raises, things that are, even if you were on your strongest day ever, the difference between you doing like a set of 20 lateral raises, maybe with 10-pound dumbbells, and then on your strongest day ever, you could do them with like 15-pound dumbbells. Like the actual load isn't going to change so much because it's just a funky movement, but we do them because structurally for your shoulders and your upper back, they're a really healthy thing to do to help with your posture. That is how I think about the higher rep ranges and the exercises that you choose to hit those higher rep ranges. They're typically going to be exercises that look like they're very good for your posture. And structurally the way that you want to be just getting around this earth and living pain-free. I think if we logically all thought about a lateral raise or the ITYWs or shrimp squats, nobody that's like the strongest person in the world is like, well, I went on this like 12-year training program where I just did lateral raises. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like what we're doing is structurally building your body so that it moves much better. We're building components of, we're adding volume to musculature that does not get hit when you're doing large front squats, large RDLs, large strict presses. We're able to isolate musculature that is very healthy for you and is going to make you pain-free and continue to train without having to load lateral raises or front raises to a point where you're just throwing weights as high as you can and hoping that something good happens. When we get into understanding the idea of the muscle breakdown and repair, of the three, this is the one that matters the least and the one that we have the least amount of control. But it really gets into the conversation of soreness. And when you are starting out the program, you're going to be sore, and that's cool. But what I don't want you to do is take these workouts so far that it takes you 5 days to recover. I don't want you doing legs on Monday and then Friday unable to hit legs again, or unable to have a full body workout, or on Wednesday you're still trying to find the toilet in the morning and you're just doing this like backwards fall and hopefully something's there to catch you. I want you to start to recognize there's two concepts that we can recognize when we start to really talk. these concepts are applied to the training, but when we actually see the results of them, it should show up in how sore you are going into the next day. So RPE stands for rate of perceived exertion. And RPE is a great way to be able to monitor the intensity of the workouts that you're putting, that you're doing. So the sweet spot that I have found when you're just getting started into the program and following a structured training program, for the first month or so, try to be somewhere around a 7. That's like 70%. And the reason that's really hard, especially at the beginning, is because you're so fired up for this new program. Like, you just got into this Diesel Dad mentorship. You're so fired up to just like lose all the weight today. But we have to realize that if you lose all the weight today, you're going to be so damn sore for the next 5 days that we got to back up. We got to slow down just a little bit. And what I would prefer is for you to wake up on day 2 of the mentorship program and go, cool, I feel like I worked out yesterday. Like, we created good momentum. And that number on the perceived exertion in your workouts is actually closer to like a 7 than like a 9. A 9 is really pushing it. And it kind of lends itself to understanding the next concept. And I don't care which one you use. I don't care what framework you use for intensity, because I could talk about percentage work. I could talk about RPE. I could talk about RIR, which I'm going to talk about right now. It stands for reps in reserve. But either of those 3 that you use, they can all be totally bastardized by going overboard, or they can be used correctly, or you can realize that you're not pushing yourself as much as you need to. But when you use reps in reserve, think about if you're using 135 pounds for a front squat and you are trying to hit 8 reps. Well, that 8 at the beginning of the program, I want that to feel like it's a 70% effort. If you are trying to hit 8 at, say, month 2 or 3, it may be a 60% effort because you've gotten stronger. It also, if you are in like the 9 range, you're probably going to wake up really sore because that weight is so perfect for that exact minute that you're just pushing yourself to the edge every single time. So inside the program, there's a lot of figuring out, especially if you haven't been testing or you're really kind of like new to varying intensities on your own, and the concepts of RPE or RIR in your workouts. But I want you to wake up. If you're in week 1 through 4 of the program, I want you waking up each day and going, I feel like I have a lot of really good momentum going right now. And what that actually feels like is being kind of sore, but not so sore that you can't get up and go run and play with your kids, or you're doing the fall backwards because you can't find the toilet because your legs hurt so bad, or getting down the stairs feels like your knees are going to buckle in underneath you. We've all been there. It kind of sounds cool until it happens, and then you're like, I went too far, and now I'm on the injured reserve list for 3 days until my body catches up. Especially when you're doing things like unilateral squatting, like split squats, any lunge variations. Those are going to be specifically targeted to, or those are specific exercises that are going to make you extremely sore because you're very strong. You're going to be able to do a lot of weight. You're going to be able to do a lot of reps, but the next day, because all of that weight has been put on one single leg, it's going to be very hard to walk. A lot of the upper body stuff, we don't have to worry about these concepts as much just because your arms and your back are not as big as your legs. And you're just not going to be able to move. At some point, your grip a lot of times is going to give out doing pull-ups. You're going to reach technical failure before you are going to get to the point where it's like, very rarely are you going to run into somebody that's like, man, I just I have like a really strong back and I can just do like 30 pull-ups at once, but the next day I can't raise my arms. Like at some point your grip goes out. If you're doing RDLs, you know, you're going to feel your hamstrings because your legs and your back are really strong and you're probably using an amount of weight that your grip can hold on to. So you can like do countless reps with strong legs. So I hope that gives like a little bit of a framework when we are estimating intensity in the beginning of the program. Try to keep that intensity level around a 7. You want to be building as big of a ramp as you can to get maximum results out of the program over a long period of time. You can't go and become world-class strong in one workout, so we shouldn't try. What I want you to do is find somewhere in a 7 out of 10, whether that's your perceived exertion, whether that's you're doing 7 reps when you could do 10, or you're using some sort of metric that gets you to a 70% on the effort side of things. Not because I don't want 100% effort out of you. I want 100% focus, but I don't need 100% of the weight getting moved on day 1. As you start to get into month 2, 3, 4, 10, 12, that's when we can start to really understand how our body's going to react to the stimulus of the day. You'll be much more comfortable with the exercises. And if you want to go and blast your legs one day, trust me, I still enjoy every once in a while just sitting down and only squatting and then going and doing a bunch of like single leg split squats and knowing the next day after I do slow RDLs that my legs are going to be lit up. But it needs to be thought about, and we need to bring awareness to how we're completing the workouts. So find one exercise in the 4, or even if it's 6, find one exercise that we really want to push the weights on and do those for a rep range of about 2 to 6. That way we're getting a really good rest interval in between. Then we're going to pick 2 to 3 exercises that we're going to hit between 8 to 15. And ideally we can do something in the 8 range, something in the 12 range, and then something in the 15 to 17 range. And then find one of the exercises inside there that is a much more postural, like a structural exercise. It's likely going to be, for lack of better terms, like those are like the pump exercises that the bodybuilders get made fun of, like front raises, lateral raises, bicep curls, triceps. Those are the things that we're doing for a reason specific to just structural integrity and keeping small muscles healthy, to eliminate a lot of joint pain and make sure you're keeping good posture throughout your day. Does that make sense? Everybody good with that? I hope I cleared some of the questions up from last week and shine a little light on maybe a better way to get through some of the workouts.
I have a question on that note, if you want to take a question now, if you don't mind.
I do, and then I'm going to get to Mark's just because you're talking right now. Hold on. Wish I could. Oh, sorry, David. Sorry, I'm just getting through the chat here, and we're good. Awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
It seems that in my first month of the programming, it seems periodized from week to week. So some weeks I have a lot of volume. I'm in the gym for an hour and a half.
Yep.
Other weeks I'm like, man, I got a lot left in the tank. I need to do a couple hundred kettlebell swings or something.
Yeah.
Would you say that's accurate and then programming remains that way, periodized from week to week?
Yeah. So it's called, hold on. What are you doing in the gym for an hour and a half?
Hey, I'm warming up. I'm doing the stretching.
Oh, you're doing gotcha. Got it. I thought you were just doing the 30-minute workout. I was taking you
No.
like you're doing it 3 times in a row. Good man, doing all the warm-ups and the Diesel Dad 100. I love that. All right, so it's called weekly undulating periodization, and that is a really, really confusing long term for we start things out at 15 minutes, then we up it. I believe it's to 25 in week 2. Then we go down to 20. Then we go up to 30. So the volume each week is going to be increased. It basically follows over a 4-week period, a line on intensity and volume that goes up and to the right. And then each week it's varied so that we make sure that we're recovering. So it's not just a 15, 20, 25, 30. We go 15 up to 25, down to 20, and then up to 30. That way we're increasing the volume. We should also be increasing the weights depending upon kind of like your own personal goals and how you feel in with the volume and total load that you're using each week. But yes, you are right. So on the weeks that you are doing lower volume, I would suggest just follow. It may feel like you have more in the tank. That's awesome. Save it till next week because we're going to beat you up. There's more volume coming. It's one of the mindset pieces of we all fall into this. It's like more has to be better. But then if more is always better, we're forgetting about recovery, which is where you actually get strong and build muscle. In the gym is where we tear it down. And then when we're sleeping and relaxing and recovering, that's where we actually grow. So even though it looks like you're doing less, that's where your body's got all the energy to actually go focus on itself and get healthy. Make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mark, I wanted to talk about your dilemma inside 24-hour fitness. I love 24-hour fitness, by the way. They have so many awesome machines. Anytime I want to feel like I'm just going to go do like an awesome back day, they've got like 17 back machines. Every possible angle that you could ever do back.
There's a new one next to my house. It is huge, and they have everything.
All of it.
Yeah.
My daughter has her dance studio is right next to a global gym, and every Wednesday I only do back there because they have so many fun machines. So in your specific scenario, I would try to try and keep the whatever equipment you can as close to one station as possible.
Sure.
If you do need a bench and the only way to secure that bench is to literally sit on it because someone's going to come over and be in your way, you're doing it right in that do whatever lift it is, rest about 90 seconds, and then hit it on the every other minute. And if you're in a time crunch with that, so say it's like a dumbbell bench press. That's like a great one, right? Because you have to have your dumbbells and someone's going to take them if you leave them. You have to have your bench. Someone's going to take it if you leave. I would take that and use that as your heavy lift of the day. So hit incline dumbbell bench press for 4 to 6 reps with a really heavy weight and feel strong. That's a great exercise to go lift big weights. Then I would take the other 3 and combine those into like a large superset or giant set. So say it's like a pull up, and I'm just making this up right now, but
so for example, it kind of came from the CrossFit mentality of just moving, right? I'm not standing there with my thumb up my ass for 2 minutes, right? It's like I'm just going to move through this stuff. So, I did the incline bench press, and some MFer is going to poach this thing, right? So I sat there and did my 5 sets, right? And waited like 90 seconds for each set. And then I went over and did the split squats and the raises, and I just stacked them like boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Right. So, and I was feeling kind of gassed by the end, but it's like, sometimes that's the only way I can do it. Like today, it seems like it's kind of 3 accessory exercises, like it's Russian twists, calf raises, and skull crushers. It's like, which one of those would I pick as my heavy? Right. So,
skull crushers would be
okay. And that was my guess. Yeah. But that's kind of but I'm same as John, right? I go in the morning because for me, if I get it done in the morning, then I've had a victory for the day, right? I go in, I do the mobility, I do diesel that, and then I do the workout. I'm in and out in 45 minutes to an hour, right? Yeah. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it, right? I'm just go there early and get it done,
Yeah. I would like specifically for today, have your skull crushers set up and hit those hard. Assuming there's no elbow issues or anything like that. I have no like it's a great exercise. Go a little bit heavier and then get your abs and calves in and feel like you're a bodybuilder, and it's gonna be great. And then also those two, like if you need to protect the bench and the curly bar, I would just stay and do skull crushers with the bench and with the curly bar. And then I would go and do fun accessory stuff after in a superset format, but moderate the intensity. Anytime I hear the word, like I do it kind of like the CrossFit, make sure you're moderating the intensity, because I want to focus on quality movement and I want to focus on like a mind muscle connection. So it's not just doing the work in the amount of time, but doing really good work with the amount of time. So I'd rather you stop at 35, 40 seconds, be able to recover for 20 seconds, then go do another 30 seconds of work, but all of it at an intensity level where you're very focused on quality of movement and intent behind the exercise.
Yeah, I was kind of approaching it like we used to call RFQ, rounds for quality, right? It's like I'm not going to go too heavy where I'm spazzing out. It's like I'm just going to, and I kind of picked a number because they were kind of alternating joint movements. It's like I'll do 10 here on this side, 10 on this side, 5 on this side, 5 on this side. I can get those done in a minute, right? And then it's like boom, 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 boom. It wasn't like super intense, like I'm standing there dying. It was more like you basically one exercise to the other. It's like bang, bang, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you have extra time when you're doing smaller joint accessory things like that, like, I mean, the limiting factor on you being able to do more ab work is honestly just breathing. Like your abs cramp up and it feels like you're going to throw up in the middle of the gym. That's why abs are so hard. And then like, it's not like if you do a ton of calf raises, walking is going to be really brutal. But you know, if there's a couple things that you want to kick in just for fun, John, I think that would be like a great place to do some additional kettlebell swings or something along those lines. Stuff that isn't just going to beat you down, but they're like to haves if you wanted to add them in on a day like that, where it is a really low volume and you've got an extra some time and energy. It's not as strict, but as the person writing it and coaching it, I want to be able to monitor intensity and focus on recovery when we give you the recovery. Cool. Scott, you're brand new to the party here. I want to hear some things going on in week 1.
Can't hear you, Scott. Click the up arrow by the microphone and choose your audio device.
Yeah. I can come back to you. Just speak up when you're on there. Hung.
I got it.
Oh, there he is. How's everything going this week, sir?
So it's going well. The workouts, haven't been brutal. Because I was not misunderstood, but the imam, I would go to not total failure, but close to failure, which was in that 35-second range. Yeah. And then I would rest for the remainder of the time.
Perfect.
But I'll say doing front squats at 70% at that rep scheme was it didn't destroy me, but I could feel it.
Yeah.
But the workouts have been great. The mobility stuff's been good. I've got good mobility. The counting macros, I talked to Coach Chris, and he gave me my count, and we're not focusing too intently on that this week.
Yeah.
So now, I'm going to probably spend a couple of hours inputting my data into the spreadsheets. So the workout's going good. I'm not worried about the macros yet, so intently. And then I'm going to get used to plugging in my information on those spreadsheets.
Yeah. Beautiful. All of this stuff, like you're in week 1, Mitchell's in week 1 as well. Hung, you're in week 1. All of this stuff, and Tim, if any you guys, Tim or Jim, you guys have been with us, 30 something weeks now. All this stuff really just becomes like a system of life. And so like week 1 and week 2, it's like the learning curve is steep, and that's it's meant to be, because we got to go change a bunch of things in your life to get you on the right path and build the momentum and do all that. I wish there was like an easy way to say, hey, we have to change things in your life. But I know, Mark, we've been texting a little bit about it as well. Just kind of, we have systems in your life that are getting moved around. And the more you get comfortable with getting the spreadsheet, knowing, I got a message last night at like 10 o'clock from one of our clients. It was like a giant picture of eating out food, and was like, how do I track this? I'm like, well, here's the general structure of this is, don't worry about vegetables, because that's basically just tubes holding on to water for plants. Find rice and noodles if that's what's on your plate. Guesstimate what 4 ounces of meat looks like, and hopefully there's 1 to 2 servings on there. And then stay away from sauces. Like, we've got a lot of just things to learn that over the course of the first month, there's a steep ramp, and then and that's really what we're here for, is to smooth the process over and build the systems with you. So I totally understand what you're saying. You're not alone. Everybody here has kind of been through that first couple of weeks of trying to figure it all out. And it's like in anything, the first, that on-ramp piece is always the steepest learning curve. And then it starts to just become a normal way that you live your life.
Yeah, Scott, I'm kind of obsessive about it. So, but I found, I used to use MyFitnessPal, but they have like a freemium charge bullshit thing they do. And so I switched to My Macros Plus, and once you kind of get in the flow of it, because it remembers your recent foods, and I tend to eat, I'm a creature of habit, the same things, right? So it has all my recent stuff, and it has a cool little barcode scanner. So it's like, add this to it, and I can verify the macros against what it says on the thing, and it just gives me, because it has a daily total, then I can just go put it in my spreadsheet, right? It makes it easy to do that. I agree, it's kind of a habit, but I have it on my phone. You're a firefighter, it looks like. I'm at my desk all freaking day. So it's just, it's easy to kind of track that stuff, but I make myself do it because I have to be accountable to it. It's just like, I felt like shit yesterday after getting a booster, didn't eat all day, had a big dinner, and I went, holy fuck, there was a lot of fat in that, right? It was lean ground beef, right? But lean wasn't real lean, right? So
yeah.
There's a couple of things I'm working on, so I need you guys to try to hold me somewhat accountable to this. There's a guy at work who's really, really good at computer stuff. Me, not it, but I'm working on trying to figure out how to pull data from these apps and put it in the spreadsheet. So like you're using Chronometer or MyFitnessPal or whatever to be able to get your macros off there and put it into the spreadsheet. So I'm going to see how that works, but he said he'd work with me on how to figure that out. So that should make it a little easier for people if you got to transfer everything over.
Like some sort of automated import thing they have set up?
I'm working on it myself. Just
okay.
Or so he's teaching me how to basically scrape data from websites and be able to put it in Excel. So hopefully next several weeks I'll be able to kind of figure it out. I'm at least doing it for myself.
That'd be cool.
That kind of thing works for you. It might be an option.
Cool.
Very cool.
That's cool.
I'd love to check that out too. We're I hate to say it's like a generation thing. I feel like apps, even though they're easier, they confuse the hell out of me. And then I just have so many of them on my phone, and I'm like, God, just do less. And spreadsheets make more sense to me because that's what I spent so many, it's basically been like the meat of my professional career in spreadsheets. So that's why we've built them, but hopefully we'll be talking to people to kind of figure out like how we can systemize just collecting the data and then having an input in there. We're just not 100% there yet. So things we need to get better at as well on our side, just to make it easier. CJ, how are things, buddy?
Good. I'm at work today, which is, I don't know, it's weird. So I didn't get to do my workout this morning, but
it looks like
good.
Whole office and everything.
Yeah, I'm just I'm a boring CPA, so I got like a nice whatever. I had this desk for 15 years or something. So
Feels like home.
Yeah. Just a quick question.
Yeah.
So like, and I haven't had to do this yet, but as I sort of ramp up here in tax season, is there, am I doing damage if I do like in the weeks when you've got like 2 10-minute EMOMs? Can I do 1 10-minute EMOM and then go work for 4 hours and then go do the other 10-minute EMOM? Like, is that, or are you like sort of like designing the rest, that like 5-minute rest interval in between the 2 EMOMs as like, you only want me to rest for 5 minutes?
No, if there was like an ideal world, I would have you do like 4 10-minute EMOMs throughout the day. I would just think about it it's actually a phenomenal way to go about it if you can. It's just most people just go to the gym, do all the things they need to do, and then they go home or go on to their life. So if that fits your schedule, I fully support it. I don't know if you've heard Doug talk about it on the podcast, but he sets a lot of his training up when he just like right now, his kids are home from school because they're shut down with COVID stuff. My kids are home. He'll be like cooking dinner and just put like 225 on a squat rack and just leave it out there in his garage. And he'll like be cooking dinner and then go hit like a set of 8 and then come back in and cook dinner, play with kids. And then he'll catch like a couple minutes and then go out, hit some squats. Like the longer you can, shouldn't say the longer, but if you think about it, you're actually going to be more fresh. You'll be fresher when you're doing the workouts because you've had such a long break in between. And there's no, just think about it as like accumulating volume throughout the day is going to be a great way to do it. And building like an ecosystem where you always need to be doing strong people stuff. It's fantastic.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I've got a garage full of stuff, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when you work from home, it's just, it could be 10 minutes here, go work, 10 minutes there,
yeah,
go work. So,
that's
okay.
fantastic.
All right, cool.
We actually, when the pandemic hit, the very first month we put out an ebook, it was 100 10-minute AMRAPs. And that was because there was no way that we'd be able to break away from our family for more than 10 minutes. So it was like, how can we just get a quick workout in to get a breather, lift a little bit of weights, and then come back in? And then it really expanded into EMOM aesthetics with like more of a strength focus than just pure movement and doing something. So it's perfect. You will be doing 0 damage by doing it that way.
Okay, I got something real quick to comment on that, Anders. Hey,
Yeah.
So and we've said this before, right? This program's not for everybody, and you said it perfectly, right? If you're a single guy that's got all the time in the world, right? But most of us are not. So I would just, especially if you're starting this, know that anything more than what you're doing today, compared to yesterday, you're going in the right direction, right? So if you can only do that to where it's 2 or 3 sessions, but it's spread out, don't be discouraged of saying, well, I'm not following the program. No, but I'm doing more than what I was doing before, right? That's going to be the key. I really, really want to encourage you on that of if you get into that cycle, don't think, well, I'm just not going to do it because I can't do it as it's written. Yeah. Do what you can, move on.
100%. Hong, how are things going? Week 1?
And sort of end of week 2. Week 1.5, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Going well. When I was connecting with Chris earlier this week, we kind of talked about like where I was doing well. Proud of myself for the whole macro tracking. I think you and I had the conversation.
Yep.
Before I jumped into it and said like that's where I struggled previously because I was tracking calories versus macros, doing this thing right where like by 3 p.m. I'm going, shit, I've got 500 calories for dinner, so I guess I'm eating air.
Yeah.
Chasing that with some ice, right? Because I was so focused on that. It's like that mentality.
Yeah.
I've been breezing through the Diesel Dad nutrition videos that Doug put out. Those are easy for me to put on at night and kind of listen to those as I'm bopping around the house doing things.
Awesome.
But it's been going well. I think what I'm really proud of too is like easing myself back into working out. And so I think if any of the guys on this call have been similar to myself, what happens is I go through this vicious cycle of not doing stuff, feeling really shitty about myself, jumping into it and going like, all right, I'm going 300% because I haven't done it for 6 months, and then getting injured and going like, well, that was stupid, and then being laid up for another few months, right? Like that cycle just perpetuates.
Yeah.
So luckily, like kind of easing back into it. Lucky that I have the equipment at home to be able to jump in there and do it, and just super pumped. Like going from, when Anders and I talked, I said, dude, I've lost my discipline. Like I used to be like, it's this time, I go work out. Getting back into it. Like every night now, kids go down to sleep. I usually change, walk right down to my garage, and start. Because as soon as I start, I know I'll finish. So it's been going really well.
Yeah, I also want to buzz in, CJ. I wish I had said this, and Hung's kind of alluding to it a little bit as well. But like I want to say in the last 3 months, and Jim brought up an awesome point. It's like it's super easy for us to get lost in all the things that we aren't doing, which is just such a really negative mindset about moving forward, instead of trying to find the holes in the day in which we can do things. And exactly what you laid out, CJ, of like doing a 10-minute here, 10-minute there. That's the exact mindset that you want to have, of finding what you can do with the structure that's built into your life right now. Like, what are we going to do? Like not work out because taxes are coming? Well, it's like a 3-month long process every year of your life where you're just guaranteed to be unhealthy. It's definitely not true. And the last, like doing what you said of breaking it up, making it work is 100% the right way to go about it. Doing it after the kids go to bed, perfect. It's like, it fits your life. You feel good about moving forward. In all the transparency, like since November of last year, like I feel like I've been working out on average, like maybe 2.5 days a week. And it's just because life has just happened that way, whether I'm traveling with family, whether we're traveling with work. It's kind of the way. I got a vasectomy that was like 10 days that I was totally not expecting to not be training. There's countless reasons and countless things pulling at us. The goal is for us to get all of our bodies and minds to a place where we feel very healthy, and then realize that no matter what we're doing, as long as we're doing something and we're eating the right meal and we're lifting the right weights and we're making it work with our life, we're still moving forward. As long as we're not moving back and we're not staying static, we're constantly trying to bring our energy and like a healthy mindset to life, so that each meal that we eat, it's a good one. Each time that we can get to the gym and train, we're training hard and we're making it work. Those are like the mindset and the attitude that's going to make this thing work for a very long time. And focusing on all the things that we aren't doing, well, then all of a sudden you're comparing yourself to Olympic athletes, and that's just, you can't win that battle. And that's what these calls are about too, is just kind of, if we can reset that mindset, and really focus on all the things that we can do to improve our situation, it's going to be a much better path forward. Jim, I want you and Mitchell to finish this thing off. Anything going on with you guys that we can help with?
Hey, this is Mitchell.
Yeah, bud.
As of right now, going into kind of wrapping up week 2 for the most part. Everything's going pretty good.
Awesome.
I don't have any complaints. So far, I've been able to modify what I've needed to modify for the workouts. The help of Chris kind of confirming my thought process as far as making modifications,
Awesome.
setting rep goals if I can't work for, the full 30 to 40 seconds that,
Yep.
you're kind of alluding to earlier. Making sure I'm making an effort to open up the tracking sheet and enter in, the information that I can get, getting into a good habit doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, other than that, no complaints, no real issues. Just kind of settling in.
Beautiful, man. I love it. Momentum. It matters. Jim may have stepped away. I know he's should be getting his results and everything back on some stuff that we're working on. So
I got a solid
Anders,
question.
hey,
for
I'm
you.
back.
oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, Jim, go ahead.
No, man. Hey, I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm waiting on my results. For those of you who don't know, I'm in the cut 2, so I've already went through a cut and then went back through, build up some strength, and I've hit numbers I've not seen before, and so that's been very positive and encouraging for me, and I'm proud of those moments. And now it's hard knowing that I've got to go through this cut and I'm gonna lose a little bit of muscle. So I'm doing my absolute hardest. Of my goals are to actually make sure I hit that protein and go over it, and kind of scale back just a little bit more on the carbs and the fats. Try to keep myself accountable for that. I don't want to lose this precious muscle I built up. So that's it for me.
Yeah, once we get all the results back, also from the lab testing, we'll see some extra. We'll be able to keep all those numbers there. I feel good about that. John, go ahead, wrap it up. I got 2 minutes until I have another call coming up.
Right, I'll hit you. So listen, I just realized there's an adaptive division in the Open this year.
There you go.
I'm an adaptive athlete. I have a neuromuscular disease.
Yeah.
I think I can crush that Open workout, and I
Yeah.
think I got a chance. But talk to me about this programming as it relates to being prepared for the Open.
Sweet. When is the Open?
End of February.
Cool. Let me do. I'll run the next one with that question because it's going to take
Gotcha.
me longer than 2 minutes to get through it, and
Yep.
it'll be a fun conversation.
Right on. Sounds good.
Awesome, team. I'm going to get this up. If anybody missed anything, I'll have it loaded and up in that folder. You should have an email with the link. If for some reason you can't get in there, please let me know ASAP, and I'll get everything set up. I appreciate it, friends. We'll see you guys in
You guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
later.
Thanks, Anders.